All right, welcome. My name's Dave. I'm with iHemp Michigan. iHemp Michigan's a member-based organization representing hemp farmers, seed cultivators, processors, manufacturers, and hemp businesses statewide. We work to promote responsible and fair regulation and provide grower education and enable full access to the evolving marketplace. iHemp Michigan advocates for wellness in people and the planet through hemp, and it begins with the farmer. So we just want to provide you a quick update, so thanks Eric and Morris for playing along. Thank you to those who have donated to our hemp mask program. We've donated 200 masks to the state of Michigan. The intent is to get them to the MDARD. You can find information about the hemp mask program and donate through the iHemp Hour page on iHemp Michigan. So if you go to ihemp-michigan.com, the drop down under events, iHemp Hour. And by the way, we do have the recipes up on that page now, which is very cool. Thanks for sourcing all those, Blaine. And that said, update on our hemp mask. Blaine, you have some news to share.
Yeah, we do. It's been a pretty busy week. And again, I want to thank Morris and Eric for coming along. Folks, we have some of the hardest working and people in the hemp industry helping us out. And we've made friends with them over the years, so we thought they'd be a great addition to help us update on what's going on in the hemp world and share some of their knowledge. So again, thanks guys for coming and joining us. We're going to start out today with a little bit of industry news that came out from Michigan. MDARD yesterday put out their press release, and you can click on there, or you can go to MDARD site, or you can go to iHemp Michigan and .com, and we've got the report there. This is the final report for the Industrial Hemp Ag Pilot Program for 2019. And I'm just going to share just a couple of highlights out of it. It's an 11-page report. Pretty nice report as far as who grew and what happened and where things are going. Some kind of interesting, surprising statistics out of here, we thought. But, and I want to remind everybody too, that if you were a grower last year and you were sent a survey, that you need to make sure you send that back in. Otherwise, you will not be getting a license again until you complete that survey to help complete the report. So just if you haven't done that, please do. Remember that MDARD's always going to use, the biggest way they reach all of us is through their website. So make sure that you have gone on there and entered your information so that information can be shared with you via email. But under the 2019 pilot program, at the end of the program, they provided a survey to all registrations, people that registered and license holders. And under the Michigan Industrial Hemp Research and Development Act, received responses from 514 licensees. Out of the 514 licensees who responded to MDARD's research survey, 165 held hemp grower registrations, 67 hemp processor license, and the remaining 282 held combined grower and processor license. Overall, the 447 registered growers that responded to the survey reported they planted approximately, and here's the surprising number, folks, only 3,678 acres of hemp outdoor during the 2019 pilot program.
You want me to share that map real quick, Blaine?
Yeah, Dave, why they give the report? That'd be really cool if you could do that. Mm-hmm. So there's two reports like this in the map. This is the outdoor.
This is indoor.
Oh, Dave, we didn't do our question, did I? We didn't do our question.
Oh yeah, let's not show.
Don't show the other map.
We put a poll in there.
That was the indoor map. So here's a little survey, a question everybody can try to guess this. So there's two counties in Michigan that reported growing between 300 and 600 acres of hemp last year. Try to tell us which county you think it is. There's two of them. See if you can get it right, and we'll have you do a little chat survey here. Dave's going to set that up to do that. Why give the rest of the report? Again, I'm only kind of highlighting the 11 pages. I'm not reading the whole 11 pages. So MDARD analyzed how many acres each grower planted outdoors and in which counties. Literally, most hemp fields across the state were smaller than 1 acre. However, there was a wide range in the amount of acres each hemp grower planted, with 9 registered growers reporting planting over 100 acres of hemp.
All right. So, well, it's going to be I haven't, because I'm working in a remote location. We've had a big
Yeah, and
storm here in
our
Michigan.
heart goes out to a lot of people. We had some storms that came through the last 2 days here, and there are people we know that are without power, without internet. Dave had power, but no internet, so he's working from a remote location. Normally, Michael, with the Michigan Marijuana Report, usually kind of hosts the show with us, but he's out of both power and internet. So I know there's some people out there that are still having some issues with getting things up and going. So luckily, I didn't hear of any fatalities through the storm that came through the last 2 days. But now that's the one that's one we don't want to show, Dave. So 40% of the hemp growers encountered some type of issues with weeds. I can attest to that. I had the Jurassic Park of weeds in mine, and 39% of these growers also encountered issues with insects. Of the 447 hemp growers, 276 reported they were able to harvest their crop during the 2019 pilot program. Again, a bunch of more about destroying, processing, but a lot of stuff there. Hemp markets and products. I thought this was pretty interesting. Approximately 10% of the license holders reported they found a market for their hemp by the time they submitted their responses. Remember, responses had to be in by December 31st. However, 18% of license holders responded they had not been able to find a market for their hemp. An additional 35% responded that they were still in the process of finding a market when they responded. For the license holders that were able to find markets, 86% reported they found a market within the state of Michigan. An additional 30% reported they found a market both inside and outside the state of Michigan, while the remaining 2% reported they found a market outside of Michigan. And I'm going to take a little break right here. We have one of our business members that contacted us the other day and wanted to make sure everybody knew, talking about markets. So let me get my glasses because I'm getting old and sometimes I need them. So Pure Biologic said that they're a Michigan-based processing located in Plymouth, Michigan. They're currently in the market for purchased biomass within the next week. Remember, I said purchase biomass. We're not doing tolling. We're not doing all that kind of stuff. So they're actually going to purchase it. They're interested in several different strains of biomass if available. So you can contact them at their email address, which is purebiologic@gmail.com, or their phone number is 313-355-4260. If you go on to the classified section, the member section under business directory, you'll find their logo there, and you can also contact them through that way. And the classifieds is getting a lot of attention. We're getting a lot more hits on that. So if you're looking for anything, if you're looking to sell biomass, sell your product, whatever on there, the classified is a great way for the hemp industry, hemp in Michigan, to be contacting with each other. So that's a real good way to list things on there. It's really cheap, $5. You can list what's on there. There's a real interesting part about the 2020 outlook that they have on here as well, but just due to lack of time, I'm not going to try to read it all. But actually, the important, interesting part of this is the respondents reported they anticipate on planting 8,749 acres of hemp this year, outdoors, and 424,191 square feet of indoor hemp for the 2020 growing season. This represents an increase in the total amount of outdoor hemp acres from 2020 season by approximately 134%. Although the responses indicated a large increase in the amount of hemp planted outdoors for the 2020 season, they also anticipate a 4% increase in the amount of total square footage of hemp planted indoors for the 2020 season. And they talk a little bit about the hemp testing. And then I'll put this little plug in here for MDART. MDART would like to thank the 2019 pilot program participants who responded to the survey. The 2019 pilot program demonstrated great success and allowed MDART, university researchers, and the agriculture community to gain greater knowledge on the cultivating industrial hemp in Michigan. MDART is looking forward to the 2020 growing season and working with both new and returning program participants.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Yep, so you can get to that page there. Again, we've got it on our site too. You can go to MDART's site and download. There's a lot more detail. Certainly worth the read. It's only 11 pages, and there's even some color photos. So Are we ready? Most Michigan counties with the most hemp growing.
Yeah,
So,
the polls launched, so let's start the conversation with Morris and Eric. If
okay, let me get a couple other quick items in here real quick on some things, and I'll touch them later on the end too. I'll go into more detail. But remember, June 30th is the deadline for farmers to sign up into the USDA programs, the regular farm programs. July 15th is the deadline to certify your crops with USDA. There looks like there's going to be some movement on the Corona program. They call it CFAF. Originally, hemp and tobacco were excluded from this program, but there's been information submitted to USDA about the 5% loss in revenue from the sale of the products. And I got a good feeling that somewhere down the line here, very shortly, the hemp producers will probably be able to qualify for assistance under that. And we'll keep you updated on that. But the main thing right now is keep some records. If you're selling this stuff, figure how many pounds you had, and you'll need that for some point in time. I do believe we will get assistance for that. The other thing that came out just yesterday is the Farmers Union, National Farmers Union, backs carbon credit verified certification bill. Farmers Union is one of our business members as well, and I am a member of that group too, just for clarity. But they've introduced a bipartisan bill that talks about what help provide certainty for farmers as they look to participate in carbon markets in their efforts to adapt to mitigate the effects of climate change. We'll talk more about that as we get more information on it, but it just came out. We'll try to get the bill number so you can read it in more detail. But again, another way we know how good hemp is at sequestering carbon, and this will be another way for hemp farmers to sign up for a program and get a little income while they're doing helping out the environment with that. So with that, Dave, I'm going to turn it back over to you and let you introduce our guest.
Yeah, and a lot of that, if you weren't able to make notes as Blaine was running through that, we'll put that in the show notes so you'll have access to that information. So we're super excited though. Thanks so much. We have Morris Beegle is with us. He's founder of We Are Better Alternatives, a multi-brand umbrella company and producer of the NoCo Hemp Expo. I was so geeked to go to the NoCo event in March. I'm looking forward to August. Hope that we can pull that off, man. So after completing its fifth year, NoCo Hemp Expo emerged as the world's largest industrial hemp conference and exposition. Morris is based in Loveland, Colorado. Some of his brands include Tree Free Hemp, Colorado Hemp Company, and both Morris and Eric are involved in Let's Talk Hemp, a really cool podcast you need to check out. Eric Steenstra is a hemp industry pioneer, co-founding hemp clothing and lifestyle brand Ecolution. Eric is also founding member of the Hemp Industry Association and served as executive director from 2008 to 2016. And he serves as president currently of Vote Hemp, a political advocacy organization. So welcome, gentlemen. We're so glad to have you here. What's going on in your world?
Dave, I think the survey is still up on the screen. You might want to take that down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, Blaine, thanks very much. Great to see you, Morris. Thanks for having us on today. Yeah, excited to be here. It's an exciting time with a lot of farmers getting hemp in the ground, and a lot of good things are happening. We're also facing some challenges and headwinds as an industry, I guess. So we've been working hard on a number of things. Policy at USDA, trying to move the FDA to begin doing their job and regulating hemp like other botanicals, and we're working on some state legislation. We just had a lot on the plate this year, and obviously adjusting to the COVID virus situation. So maybe Morris can talk a little bit about that. I know we're looking forward to doing a virtual event with Morris's team. They're the biggest hemp events company out there, and I don't know if there's any updates about the NoCo and Expo coming up in August, Morris.
Yeah, so we're going to actually provide a pretty thorough update next week during our summer solstice event that we are doing. So we have, since COVID happened, we did purchase an online platform, and what we've tried to do is build out this virtual event platform in the cloud while we can't, gather in person, so to speak. So we still have to gather as an industry. We have to come together. We have to educate, and we have to do business. We have to network, and that's what we've pivoted to at this point in time. And we did an event during Earth Week, since we couldn't do our event at the end of March. We did reschedule it for August. And again, we're going to make an announcement next week. We've been going back and forth and working with the governor's office, Jared Polis, the CDPHE here in Colorado, and trying to figure out exactly what we can do in August, or if we're going to have to move it into next year and just continue this online virtual thing until this whole situation passes. And what do we do with larger gatherings? Because we really can't pull off NoCo in a way where we totally scale back. NoCo is about a lot of people, a lot of energy, a lot of folks coming together and making this industry and this movement happen. And we've been very fortunate to have great partners like Eric since the very beginning. The very first real national hemp event that I went to, we started Colorado Hemp Company in 2012. And I think Eric did an event in Colorado in 2013, right here in Loveland at the ranch, where we ended up having NoCo Hemp Expo. And he brought in people like Barbara and Summer from Enviro Textiles, who've been in this game for a lot longer than I have. And Eric's helped our situation as far as bringing in a lot of people that have been involved for a long time. And so thank you, Eric, for everything you've done since the early 90s. I mean, you've been a trooper for years and years and years. And what we've been able to build is basically because of folks like Eric and Chris Boucher and a lot of people that have been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years.
Thanks, Morris. Yeah, I remember that event well. And, we brought in a few, I think a few farming experts and some people from Hemp Oil Canada to try to, we knew farmers were looking at this. And I remember it was a packed room. We were sold out. And I remember at that event, Ryan Loveland walked up to me and said, I'm going to grow hemp this year. I think it was in March of 2013. And the law hadn't passed yet, but he said, I'm going to grow hemp this year. And I said, well, here's my number. Hit me up. I can't wait to, come visit you. And I remember we got to go see the harvest. So that was exciting. And Colorado's been right at the center of this. Morris, you've been really, great leader on the event side, just connecting the industry and some of your companies and everything. So a lot of respect to you for everything you've accomplished as well. Thanks.
Appreciate that.
Guys, what about some of the current stuff that's going on? How about, I know one thing that's going to be talked about, Morris, at the expo is going to be this change it to 1%. Where do you see us going with that? How do you see that happening? And where do we have a good look that that's going to happen?
Yeah, I could share a little update on that. We've got some positive news here in Washington. The Farm Bureau has an official position in support of 1%, and they're very influential in farming circles. And actually, the National Farmers Union went one step further, and they passed a resolution in support of up to 3%. Okay. And I don't know. I think those are good signs that there's major farming organizations that have good relationships here in Washington are pushing for that. I think realistically, there's not much chance that Congress is likely to open this back up. The Farm Bill is kind of one of these once every 5-year things. And so I think from a timeline standpoint, we're going to be probably, I'm sure there'll be bills to try to push this forward, but I'm not sure whether we'll get there before the next Farm Bill. So I'd like to say we could, but I'm not sure about that.
What about the FDA, Eric? Do you see any action in that area?
Yeah, the FDA they put out an update just the other day saying, quote, they had made substantial progress. Of course, they didn't detail any of what that was. They didn't outline any kind of a timeline. And from, if you look at the FDA and how they operate on other things like tobacco, sometimes they just take years to get anything done. So there is a lot of pressure on the FDA right now. And we put together a coalition letter, a number of state and regional organizations sending to the Trump administration, asking that they help with this, that the FDA's regulatory position on this has been a burden on the industry and is really holding back something that could help grow the economy and create more jobs. And so we're going to be sending that in fact, this week. And, we're just trying to do everything we can to continue to put pressure on. There's also a bill in Congress that was introduced by Representative Colin Peterson from Minnesota, and we're supporting that bill. That would take hemp and require FDA to regulate it like other botanical substances. And I think that's the sad thing here is that FDA knows that these products are everywhere, right? You can find them in your grocery store, your pharmacy, your gas station. I mean, heck, I found it in my barber shop. So there's hemp CBD is everywhere. So instead of pretending like these products, just aren't out there and let's take our time, they need to start putting the message out now that people need to meet existing federal law about how you produce a dietary supplement or a food. So I guess that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Let me jump in there real quick. And the FDA, there's going to be a lot of pressure. There already is pressure. And when it all comes down to it, they have to say that this is an ingredient for food and for supplements. And it is a dietary supplement. CBD, CBG, all these cannabinoids outside of THC below 0.3%. And jumping back real quick to the 1% conversation, we are going to have a conversation next week during summer solstice about 1%, why 0.3% is arbitrary and wrong. There is a lobbying effort that Courtney Moran from Earth Law is starting up, and we're going to really push this conversation. We've got Doug Fine, who's going to moderate this panel for us. Doug is a true advocate for the plant and for the farmer and small farmers. We don't want to see farmers be criminalized for going over 0.3% again, this is an arbitrary percentage. We don't want to criminalize our farmers. We know that if hemp goes to 0.5% or 1% or 2%, that percentage can be taken care of downstream in processing or manufacturing. So by the time it does hit the shelves for consumer goods that are going to be ingested, that it can be compliant. Mm-hmm. So we're going to continue to push that message out from our platform as hard as we can, because we just think that this 0.3% is something that's been wrong for a long time, and we don't need to criminalize people for growing a plant that can provide so many wonderful benefits to society.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Vote Hemp is 100% behind the move to push it up. So at least 1%.
Yeah, if anybody wants to know where the 3% came from, American Hemp Farmer, there's a book that came out this year, and I'll try to put it up on our site if we don't have it. But basically, it's from a research study that was done in Canada. Interesting little read on that, how that all came about. So,
is there a path either through Vote Hemp or one of your guys' assets, that where we can ask people to take some action?
We do have a couple of take action items on our website, Dave. There currently isn't a 1% action piece yet. We're working on trying to get some legislation introduced that would help with that. So, but actually, it's a great, it's a good point, and we'll try to get something out on that. So hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, we gladly share it out.
Hey Eric, why don't you, if you've got the chat there, why don't you type the website in where people can go to look at your site and sign up and be supportive.
Sure. Yeah, that's votehemp.com. Sorry, yeah, that's our website is votehemp.com, and there's a take action link on there.
There will also be some take action information at our solstice event next week, talking about this 1% program. Two of the things that we're really focusing on next week is this push for 1% in the conversation and elevating that conversation. We know it's going to be a while before we can get action in Washington, D.C. That's just the nature of the beast. And Eric already went down that road and said all of that. But we just have to keep pounding that same drum. And so that's going to be an action piece for us next week, as well as Hemp for Our Future that Courtney Moran and Sean Hauser and Annie Rouse, and I think Vote Hemp's involved with this. It's a whole group of us that we're trying to come together as an industry, all these different organizations to try to help those in time of need right now, less fortunate. How can the hemp community provide our local communities with stuff from clothing and food and a variety of materials for different organizations that need that stuff.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be part of that. We have a booth at the summer solstice, and I was really encouraged. The Earth Day event that you hosted, it was fun. It was a lot of interaction, within the conference. So we were able to, in those chat rooms and the networking sessions, it was interactive. I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, we want everybody to come visit us while we're there. We're going to have some fun stuff going on in the booth. We're going to have some giveaways and some things to encourage everybody. So come on and join us, have some fun with us. Morris, you want to give us a little more update on that?
Yeah, so just so everybody knows, it's free to attend. You can just go to the NoCo Hemp Expo website, NoCoHempExpo.com, register for free, and you can check out all the live sessions for free. The Expo Halls, we're going to have 3 different Expo Halls. We're going to have 3 different networking rooms. We're going to have a job fair room. We're going to have a business networking room, and then a Diversify Hemp collaboration room to talk about more pertinent collaborative opportunities through our Black and Brown and Native American communities. How do we all come together and address some of these other social issues that are out there? And I think that the Hemp and Cannabis platform is a good place to have these conversations. So we're going to be talking about that there as well. And then we've also got a Let's Talk Hemp library that has a variety of NoCo vault footage from the last 5 years. So we've got panels and presentations from people from 2015 through 2019. And then we've got a whole bunch of presentations that were done for the Earth Week event as well as for the Summer Solstice event. There's just a ton of content. And again, it's free for everybody to register. And then going through the Expo Hall, we're going to have 55, 60, 65 exhibitors. I mean, we got them coming in still today. And it's a pretty cool little concept. And you can go to each booth and you can have chats with the salespeople there. You can look at marketing materials and download marketing materials into your digital briefcase, watch videos. And so for what is out there right now to communicate and cooperate and work together in the space, I think that this is a pretty good platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I attended the last one, Morris. I thought it was pretty good. So a lot of like Dave said, a fair amount of interactivity, and it's a great opportunity for us to connect while we're not able to do it in person. So glad you guys are doing that.
Yeah. Well, and you don't have to leave the field so long. It's a shorter commute to the computer, right?
You don't have to pay for airfare and hotel either. So
yeah.
Exactly.
You can save some money.
Yeah.
Great point, Morris.
Yeah. But my mom's looking forward.
We're hoping to have a live one, of course, in January in Lansing, where we had it last time at the Lansing Center, and we're going to invite both you guys to come and play with us too, if we can have that. But we're also looking at that virtual expo as well. So we're
Sounds good. Yeah, hopefully we can make it this year. Hey, and Morris, I've mentioned too, again, I think I mentioned this to you once before, but maybe we can still do it this year. We'll have to see, or maybe we look at next year, but we should plan on collaborating on a lobby day and getting a lot of hemp businesses and farmers to come to Washington. We need to do a big show, here and talk to legislators and really get our issues out there. And I think there's no better way to do it than that. And we didn't do one this year, but I think it definitely would be a good thing to do.
I agree.
The chat's open, folks. So if you if there's any questions you want to shoot at any of us, certainly feel free to do that. These are pretty good, knowledgeable guys, and they may be able to answer some of our questions that we've been working on. So Dave, Morris, besides the 1%, what do you see being the next biggest issue that we're going to have to deal with? Is the banking coming around all right at this point? Maybe both of you can comment on that. How are we doing on that?
Well, you got the Safe Banking Act, and Eric can speak to the policy and regulation stuff more than I can. I'm really more trying to I'm a promoter of the plant and of the planet and bringing business together and good, knowledgeable people that can talk about a variety of facets of the industry. But if I was to say what's ahead of us, we got to deal with the FDA. I think the USDA is open and receptive to making this crop like any other crop. If we can get the DEA out of the language, which they shouldn't be involved in this industry at all, and I don't even think that they should be an agency at all. I'm really kind of on my anti-DEA stance again, because they've just been granted additional powers by the DOJ because of all these protests. So to me, I think the DEA just needs to be disbanded. I think that they're a terrorist organization who've run millions of lives over the last 40 or 50 years. And they have no place in the hemp industry. And now the FDA needs to just say, hey, this is a dietary supplement, it's another ingredient, just like any other food ingredient. And that will open things up there. And then next is going to be fiber and grain processing and growing for those channels in this country, because we've overgrown the cannabinoid market. People are sitting on a ton of biomass, a ton of crude, a ton of isolate, ton of distillate. And if hemp's going to fulfill its promise, then that has to be through the fiber side and the grain side, the food side, which is where it can have such a high impact on our country and on the planet.
Talk about the fiber some, Morris. We've been working on building out the supply chain, and it looks like it's going to take a lot of time and money to make that happen. Anything breaking loose around the country?
Well, you've got Panda Biotech that's in Texas that a
Yeah.
lot of people have heard about. These guys are going to build out this big facility, and they've got a couple of really large decorticators coming in, and they just provided 60 million pounds, not 60, or 60,000 pounds of seed to Texas farmers. So they're, to me, they're the kind of first in line to really make the fiber thing happen on a bigger scale. And I see Texas being a great place for the fiber thing to happen. There's so much oil and gas technology there already that if some of these guys with a lot of money that are starting to feel guilty about what they've done to the planet the last 40 or 50 years, all this hydrocarbon technology that takes fossil fuels and converts them into all these different products, a lot of that stuff, I believe, can be converted so we can take plant-based materials and convert them into the same type of products. So I'm excited about what's going to happen in Texas, but this fiber thing, it's a long road, and we can look to Europe and see what's happened over the course of 30 years with Dun Agro and Hemp Flax, who are both leaders in the marketplace. And, you know, those guys might be making a presence here in the United States as well. And hopefully there's just a lot of emphasis and investment money that comes into this market so we can really make a go of the fiber thing.
Yeah. Do you see our relationship with China impacting the current hemp market?
Probably. I think our relationship with China is going to be pretty challenging going forward now.
That's
Eric,
where
what do you
most of
think?
the textiles come from there currently, right?
Yeah, I mean, things are pretty strange between U.S. and China at the moment, both on the trade front, as well as sort of on general policy. With all the accusations being thrown back and forth about the virus and whatnot. So I think it's a difficult time. I know I've talked to hemp businesses. Morris mentioned Barbara and Aviro Textiles, for example. Companies like that have faced significant tariffs in their, to import products from there. And there's a lot of other impact. Farmers, obviously, who were, a major market for them, exporting things like soybeans, for example, has been, really dramatically impacted as well. So I think China is definitely, difficult, but I think they're still, they're still a major player, certainly on the textile side. And I think they're working in other areas of hemp, and I don't think they're going to stop doing that. And they also export to other areas of the world. So I think we'll see them continue to be a player.
You guys have traveled around quite a bit. Where do you see the best technology for harvesting fiber and grain coming from?
Well, most of the innovation was happening in Europe. Morris mentioned a couple of companies in the Netherlands. There's a few others there too. There's a company I know in Germany that had developed a dual harvester going back 15 years ago. And some of the newer dual harvesting equipment is now oriented a little bit more towards the flower. Before it was fiber and grain. But then there's some good things happening here in the United States. There's a company out in the Midwest there in Nebraska called Bish, I think it's Bish Technologies, and they
Fish Enterprises.
Bish Enterprises. Sorry,
Yep.
I wasn't sure if I had that right, but
What was that? Fish
they have
Enter-
developed a new piece that basically modifies a John Deere combine and allows it to be able to become essentially a dual harvester. So there's exciting, this is what we needed. Getting hemp in the ground allowed all this R&D to start happening, money start to flow towards that.
That's cool. And what was the name of that company again?
Bish Enterprises.
FISH? Fish?
BISH, Bish with a B.
Fish.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was on a webinar with Andrew just the other day. Yeah, a webinar on some stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, there's other companies too. He's not the only one, but certainly he just came out with this new development for the John Deere, and I think it's similar to the one that they were using in the Netherlands, right? They had also modified a John Deere to put the combine header up high so they could work with taller crops and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Andy and those guys have been doing a lot of good work for sure, and they're working with other manufacturers as well. And you'll see at NoCo, we had a whole bunch of folks coming in that have got new equipment, and some of those folks will be at the summer solstice in our virtual Expo Halls. But that's one of the great things about this crop in this industry is there is this innovation that's coming out, and there is this technology and innovation over the course of the next 3 to 5 to 10 years is something that really excites me, because I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg, and we're weathering a storm right now, or multiple storms, with the regulatory climate that we're in now, the COVID climate, and the racial climate. But this is just storms that we're going to have to weather. And when we come out the other side, I think that there's going to be opportunity for those that stand strong and that just are committed to this plant and this crop. And 5 years from now, looking back, I think we're going to say, wow, we've come a long ways. And looking back over the last 5 years, we've come a long ways from when we started NoCo in 2014. And when I first met Eric in 2013, I mean, we've come a significant ways from where we were.
I'm pretty excited. I finally got, I got some of my grain made into hemp oil, which I'll have real soon on the market. So not CBD oil, but hemp oil. So and I've got another 20,000 pounds of grain if anybody's interested. I got 9 super sacks full. So, but yeah, I'm pretty excited that we're moving ahead with that this year. So, we're doing a lot of rough stuff, just so you know, with research on livestock feed this year in Michigan. So we're pretty excited about that too.
That's a huge market.
Yeah, and that's another important project. There's the Hemp Feed Coalition in Colorado that's organized out of Colorado. Hunter Buffington's doing some great work there, because it's just amazing that you can have the FDA has approved the 3 main components of hemp seed, right? The shelled hemp seed, the seed, the protein powder, and the hemp seed oil are all approved as what's called GRAS, or generally recognized as safe for human consumption. But amazingly, that's not good enough for animals. They've got to do all sorts of separate studies to be able to feed the same thing to an animal. So, they're in the process of working hard on that, and that's going to be an important market to open up. I think once we can start feeding hemp as a main feed ingredient to animals, that's going to really help drive that market.
Yeah, we're going to have the Dawn and Eric from the U.S. Hemp Building Association on next week, and I know they're making progress on the regulatory, for the hempcrete and the building trade. And that's another, really exciting avenue. And
Morris, can you put a contact if people want to email you? Do you have an email that people can email to you at? Reach out to you at?
Yeah, Morris at morrisbeegle.com is probably the easiest.
Okay.
And let me just say something about the U.S. Hemp Building Association. I'm really excited about the foundation that those guys are building. And I think that is the low-hanging fruit for the fiber market, because there really is a demand for it. And we're seeing the demand in Europe. And instead of having to bring all that material over here from Europe or Canada even, who's producing some of that material for hempcrete, I think that it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and we do need to green up our building structures as we continue to build out here in America. I think that market is just going to blow up. So props to those guys for for all that they're doing right now. It's a long road for anybody doing anything, but those guys, I totally support their efforts.
Cool.
Yeah, U.S. Hemp Building Association did an excellent conference up in Idaho last year. I was able to go, and we're a founding member. I'm excited about the work that they're doing. I agree with Morris. Hey, Morris, there's a question that just came in. I see here on the chat from Christy. It says, can you talk more about how NoCo is going to help address and engage conversations around what's happening with social and racial injustice? Is there anything happening at NoCo at all? Any opportunities for conversations around that?
Yeah, so we've got a diversified hemp lounge that we're doing at summer solstice. And then during NoCo, we started last year a diversified hemp meetup. And we did it at Southern Hemp Expo last year. We were going to do it in March this year and have expanded programming on social justice, racial equality. And I think when we look at the war on drugs and the war on cannabis, and we see that there's the lack of ability to participate because of cannabis felonies, to even participate in the hemp industry, if you have a marijuana felony, that you're not going to be able to participate. It just makes no sense whatsoever. So NoCo and WAFBA, we are a platform to address these issues. What we want to see is equality across the board. We want to see this plant free, and we want to be able to see everybody able to participate. We want to see expungement of all cannabis crimes, particularly nonviolent crimes. I mean, if there's other factors involved and people have been murdered and stuff because of these situations, that's different circumstances. But when it comes to nonviolent cannabis crimes, nobody should have any record of that, and everybody should be able to participate in this industry. And we are providing a platform. We want to make this central to our platform moving forward. And that's where we're at this point. So please join in the conversation and add your voice.
Yeah, that's one thing I've found. I just want to touch on that real quick in this community, because I'm kind of new into the hemp community. Just 2018 is my entry point. And, I've just found that the people in the community, because of its nature, nothing about it's easy. It's all hard, and you're all trying to figure things out as we go. That there's this collaboration, and there's the spirit of collaboration and support of each other, and it's addicting. I mean, it's so fun to be involved in part of it, so it really makes it something I think everybody should pay attention to and get involved with.
Sure.
Yeah, we had a question real quick. Did Michigan keep the DEA certified lab requirement? So that's not our choice, not our, but that our lab in Michigan is DEA certified, so it wasn't an issue for us. But it gets back to that issue. We need to get the DEA out of the equation totally.
But there's only a handful of DEA labs out there. So if you're in a state that's growing, that's got several thousand growers, how does one lab or two labs be able to take care of the demand? And I think that you're going to see that go away. It's not going to have to be a DEA lab. That will get struck down, and it rightfully so should be struck down.
Well, I hope you're right, Morris. I got to say, I'm a little concerned about it. The USDA did announce that they're going to delay the requirement for a year, but that wasn't what we really wanted. We wanted them to just get rid of that. And what we've heard is Secretary Perdue, USDA Secretary Perdue, has gone twice up to Congress and essentially said that they'd like to be doing some things different, but that they, quote, their hands are tied by the DEA. And I'm a little perplexed about that, because there's nothing in the Farm Bill that says that the USDA is supposed to allow the DEA to make decisions for them. They're supposed to consult with the Attorney General, but consulting doesn't mean that they have to take I mean, the DEA doesn't get to write the regulations, or they're not supposed to, but apparently they have been. And the Drug Czar's office is involved as well. And this is kind of, this is where we're at right now. So we got some work to do to get that changed. For whatever reason, the USDA secretary feels that they have to sort of capitulate to the DEA on these different things. And I'm worried that the lab thing, and more importantly, some of the other requirements are just not, DEA is still going to be making this program unwieldy. And to that point, I would just say, you guys were asking earlier what are the big challenges ahead. I don't think we should underestimate the fact that the rules as they were issued, the interim final rule that USDA put out is unworkable, and that there's a number of fixes that need to be made. We put in some extensive comments with them, especially on the testing. Obviously, we talked about 1%. We want to get there, and that will help to solve things. But in the meantime, given that we're not likely to get there before this farm bill probably kicks into gear, the rules kick into gear, I should say, we got to be worried about that. And the idea that they're going to sample only the top few inches of the plant, or that they're just going to sample one plant out of a whole field and make that representative, or that they're not using this measurement of uncertainty when it comes to the actual sampling process, those are all non-starters, especially, and also the window, the time window. We need like a 30-day window from sampling to harvest. It's just not enough time. So there's a lot of things that still need to be tweaked and fixed in this, and the industry is going to have to get active on that. And I'm hoping, Morris, when we do that lobby day, that we not only hit Congress, but we can come to the USDA as well and let them, hear what's going on from farmers.
Yeah, we need to be really active as an industry. Passing the farm bill is one thing, but now we've realized that there's just all these additional roadblocks that are up against us, and you've got people investing hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, and their investment is at risk because of regulatory situations with the USDA and the FDA and the DEA, and we need to make this crop just like corn and soy and strawberries and everything else, so people feel comfortable about putting money into this industry and it can reach its full potential. So the industry as it is now has to continue to work together. HIA, Hemp Roundtable, Vote Hemp, NHA, NoCo, every organization that's out there, iHemp Michigan, all the state chapters, we really have to work together as one loud voice to make these changes of how we want our industry to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have to get back to this being a crop. This is a commodity. Yes, it needs to get to that point. We will get there, but
Morris, I know I can say I speak for Vote Hemp, and that we try as hard as we can to work with others in the industry. We've done a number of outreach and try to work with other groups on letters and other actions, and we're definitely trying to be inclusive and to work with everybody. So I agree with you. I think that's a critical thing going forward.
Yeah.
It's being an election year, Eric. Maybe we've got some headway we can make somewhere that way with this being a big election year. So
yeah, maybe.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Joe Jorgensen. What are the odds?
Any last minute thoughts from anybody?
Lebowski 2020.
Yeah, I like that.
Hey, dude. The dude, yes.
Yeah.
Any functioning adult in 2020.
Dude, yeah.
Oh, man.
Mark, do you have one of those hemp guitars real handy? Blaine has to do his, can you give us a lick real quick?
Oh yeah. Morris, break out the hemp guitar, man. There you go.
All right.
Nice.
Oh!
All right.
Woo!
Gosh,
All right.
good shirt on too.
All right.
All right. All right. Well, it's time. It's that time.
Oh, nice.
The chef, the emperor. All right. I like it. Nice hat.
So big shout out to Eric here. I got to say that a lot of these recipes that I'm coming up with are not my own recipes. I'm borrowing them from other places. And Eric had a great one on his site. He had the hemp vegan fudge, which is a really simple recipe. If you haven't done that,
yeah, I got a lot of people told me that they really liked that one. That wasn't my recipe, but we were glad to put that out there. We're going to try to put a few more of those out there. We need to get people trying more hemp foods. It's amazing. It's a really great ingredient.
So I like things simple and easy. So today's simple and easy is really simple because it's one ingredient. It's 1.5 cups of hemp heart. And you use, they say a processor, food processor, which probably better. I have a Ninja that I have, and I won't go into why we have a Ninja now versus a regular blender. You can ask Becky about that. All I can tell you is I'm old enough, I should have known better, okay, on that one. But so we had, so anyway, so I made.
You broke my blender.
Hey, quit. Don't, no comments there from behind the curtain. So this is, if you can see it, this is hemp butter.
Oh, nice.
It's really simple.
Good for you, Blaine.
1.5 cups of hemp heart, put in the processor. They say 5 to 6 minutes in the hemp processor. Give it a break after a couple minutes. I did this with the Ninja. That's really good on toast or anything else you're going to use with hemp. If you use butter on hemp, it's got that buttery, almondy flavor to it. So,
Cool.
yeah, real simple, real easy, real quick to make. So now next week we're going to go back to the grill because it's getting to be grilling time. And the little teaser for next week is the secrets in the ice cube. That's just a little
All right.
next week, so we'll have on that. So we're going back to the grill next week. So
Cool.
all right.
Well, thanks.
So again, I'll just wrap up a few things here, and then I'll let people. You know, we're getting on some deadlines here for USDA stuff. You don't have to certify this year with USDA in Michigan. I would suggest you do, especially if we're going to have some. Going through the recipes, all right. Especially if there's going to be some assistance coming down the road for hemp growers and hemp farmers, and you might want to ensure that you got your crop certified. That always helps with trying to get through some of the programs with USDA. And if you're going to grow next year, you're going to have to. So if you need help, let me know. I'll be glad to help people work through that process. It's not that bad. There's actually going to be a webinar here at 3 o'clock this afternoon on the CFAP program. Remember, Biologic is looking for they're buying biomass. So we have the information there. You can find them if you go to the iHemp site, go to member directory, under membership, go to directory, search there. I think they're on the second page when I look, Pure Biologic, and you can contact them. If any of you are still got some crop around, you need to get it processed, then hey, we've got somebody that's willing to do that for you. So I think that's about all I got. Dave, anything? Morris, you want to wrap up with anything?
Hey, I just appreciate you being invited on the show, and sorry I wanted to come to your event that you had. You had one in January, right?
Yes, we did.
You were somewhere warm that time, so
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think I was in Mexico, which I'm getting ready to head there again in July because it's like I'm tired of lockdown and I just need to get.
Well, what we can promise you if you come to Michigan at that time of year, because we're an indoor event, and with a hotel, you can walk right across. So it's perfect 72-degree weather the whole time.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost like Mexico, but
almost. But you just get the beach would be just perfect, right?
No humidity.
We have a river that runs right through there. So.
Well, hey, thanks to you guys for all that you're doing there in Michigan. That's great to have leadership in various states, and you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you. Yep. Well, you're the example that we're following. So we're happy to be in.
Well, everybody be safe for sure. And remember, we've got this mask donation fund you can do. We'd really like some help there. $50 gets you a mask. $75 gets you the mask and a really cool T-shirt. So we appreciate everybody joining us today and having some fun. And look forward to next week's show. We're going to have the U.S. Hemp Builders. And